New York's done it, Buenos Aires has done it, Sydney's done it, and London's done it. But can Moscow? This week on Fast Track, we're in Russia, finding out how locals plan to deal with the national smoking ban, which comes into force next week. Plus, we're in Saudi Arabia's second city, following its first major arts event under the title of Jeddah Arts Week. And
of the people, by the people, for the people. Find out more on Insider Guide.
welcome to 30 minutes of travel news, escape and inspiration with me, Fiona Foster. I do hope you'll stay with us. Now, we're starting today's programme in Russia, a few days ahead of the introduction of a national ban on smoking. Well, with nearly half of all Russians regularly lighting up, as you can imagine, there's some doubt as to whether this ban is going to succeed. Plus, there are many cafe and bar owners who are angry, saying that this could affect their businesses and scare away tourists. Albina Kovalyova takes up the story now in Moscow.
Russia's summertime has arrived, and smoking, like drinking, is in vogue. This country has one of the highest smoking rates in Europe, with around 40% of the population regularly lighting up. But a newly accepted government law aims to tackle this problem by introducing a smoking ban. The various conditions will be enforced gradually over the next year. The first part of the ban will take place from the 1st of June this year, when smoking outside of the metros, train stations, and airports in Russia will be prohibited unless there's a 15-meter distance between the entrance and the smoker. But it will also be impossible to smoke in prisons, in hospitals, and even the Russian parliament.
Основная масса норм вступает с 1 июня 2013 года.
The majority of the legislation will come into force on the 1st of June 2013. It will provide most of the Russian population with safety from harmful effects of smoking. The law clearly states where you can smoke, introduces fines for smoking in inappropriate places, and prohibits smoking in public spaces.
Запрещает курение в общественных местах.
As you can see, this place is incredibly popular with smokers, but they have one more year until the ban is fully in place. From the 1st of June 2014, smoking in pubs and restaurants will be banned.
No, it is not going to affect me. I will continue to smoke. I like excess and I like to smoke. If you like it, smoke, and if you don't like, don't smoke.
Even though he thinks that most of his customers smoke, the owner of this popular Moscow chain of bistros is not worried about how the ban will affect his business.
I'm not sure. I think everything would be okay if smoking will be forbidden in all places. If in some places, then it would be bad. But if everywhere they will stop the smoking, everything would be okay, I'm sure. People should eat, people should drink, people should see each other as well. People with children, they don't visit us because of smoking everywhere. But this is specific places, you see. Jean-Jacques is specific places for wine, for relaxation, and everybody smokes, that's why.
Even regulars who enjoy the smoky atmosphere seem unfazed by the future law.
I have many good friends here, and I think for speaking, it's no difference. This is smoking or no, not smoking place.
But while Russians can still enjoy the opportunity to smoke with their meals, some visitors say that this is something that prevents them from enjoying their experience of the country.
The last thing I want to do is to order some food while I'm sitting down, and then the person comes up next to me and sits down and lights up a cigarette while I'm trying to enjoy a meal. So I think it would improve the quality of my visit.
Crowds in front of stations. As soon as somebody gets off a bus or out of the station, then they light up a cigarette and you're walking through a great fog.
The question is, will the new ban be accepted by the Russian people, and will it be effective?
Let people have the option of using a cigarette, cigar or pipe under certain conditions. We are not second-class citizens.
Russia is just the latest in a long list of countries to introduce a smoking ban. Ireland, once no stranger to the image of smoky pubs, became the first country in Europe to do so in 2004. Many predicted the ban would not work, but it took hold relatively easily and has proved popular with regulars and tourists alike. However, countries like Croatia and Bulgaria have in recent years softened their bans in order to support smaller cafes and bars increase their business and attract a greater number of visitors. Despite the anticipated problems with the ban, some Muscovites are looking forward to a less smoky city.
There must be a ban or a control of some sort, definitely, because if it's not accepted, then there will be less comfort in our lives.
I don't like the smell of the cigarettes. I don't like people smoking around me. That's a big stress when people, like, lots of my friends smoke. I'm trying to make them smoke electronic cigarettes because it's like, doesn't get the smell.
We have a saying among lawyers: you have rights until they infringe upon the rights of others. So yes, smokers do have rights, but if they infringe on the rights of others, then they should be sacrificed.
Next year, the Russian government will introduce fines for smoking in public places, like playgrounds, parks, and restaurants. But whether the ban is a success is yet to be seen. And what effect this may have on tourism is something that will come to light only further down the road.
Albina Kovalyova reporting from Russia, and only time will tell, I suppose, whether that smoking ban is going to work. And if you're watching from Russia, we'd love to hear what you think. How is it going to play out? Do drop us a line at our usual address, fasttrack@bbc.com. Now let's have a look at what else has been making headlines in the world of travel this week.
An Italian judge has ruled that the captain of the Costa Concordia will face trial for manslaughter. The cruise ship hit a jagged reef off the coast of Tuscany in January 2012, killing 32 people. Passengers said the evacuation was delayed and chaotic. Experts were hoping to remove the wreck before the island's tourist season, but plans have fallen behind schedule, and that's now looking unlikely. Do you ever struggle to keep track of exactly what travel vaccinations and boosters you've had? Well, it could soon be one less headache, as an advisory panel at the World Health Organization has said vaccinations for yellow fever will last a lifetime, and there's no need for a booster jab every 10 years. But do hold on to your certificates and check the entry requirements of the place you're visiting, as it could be some time before all countries agree to make a change to their entry requirements. If you're planning a holiday in Europe, you'll now be able to check whether the water in your resort is clean. A bathing report from the European Union has assessed the water quality at beaches, lakes and rivers in different countries. Cyprus and Luxembourg scored full marks, while Belgium, Britain and the Netherlands were all found to have sites that failed to meet standards. If you want to check the water at a particular beach or resort, you can use the interactive map on the website of the European Environment Agency. And Chinese tourists have been warned to mind their manners by the country's Vice Premier Wang Yang. He says some behaviour, particularly talking loudly in public places, jaywalking and spitting, could harm the image of the country. He wants people to obey local religions and customs and be ambassadors for China. few weeks ago, we looked at the issue of Wi-Fi in hotels and the amount that you should be expected to pay for the service. Well, it's a subject that made many of you angry. Andre from Toronto in Canada, for example, writes,
"It's rather sad to hear hotel chains coming up with excuse after excuse. The network is already set up, and the maintenance of the network is just that, maintenance. Personally, I find myself selecting hotel chains that do provide complimentary Wi-Fi. If all guests selected hotels based on Wi-Fi, all the hotels would follow suit."
Meanwhile, hotelier George wrote to us from Greece.
"We're now thinking of allowing both our hotels to provide free internet. The reason is that from online reviews for our hotel in Thessalonica, a high percentage are negative about paying or are blaming us for low speed. My opinion is that the industry will move to provide free internet eventually, but this will drive the price of the rooms up."
Kerry from Australia's been impressed with what she's found.
Every hotel we've stayed in, however remote, including the Amazon, has had free Wi-Fi. The only exceptions were a very large and expensive American-style resort in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, where it was charged at $10 per day, and the expensive Hilton Hotel in Quito, where a similar fee was charged. Do the large hotel chains view the travelling public as a bunch of fools?
Thanks, Keith. Still to come on today's programme, Michelle's here with her regular Insider Guide. Plus, we're off to Saudi Arabia to see why it's hoping to become a regular fixture on the contemporary art scene. So, see you after the break.
Hello, I'm Michelle Jana-Chan, and this is Fast Track's Insider Guide with my top travel tips from around the world. In New Zealand, the Queenstown Winter Festival begins June 21st with 10 days of extreme winter pursuits. There's also jet boating, canyon swinging and river surfing. And if you've got the guts, Queenstown's the home of bungee jumping too. The world's first commercial jump was at Kawarau Bridge 25 years ago. You come here to fling yourself off a ledge 43 metres above a very chilly river. The sweet, heady scent of lavender. It can only be Provence in the south of France, now through August. The main growing area is the triangle between Sceaux, Vernon and Sideron, as well as around Mont Ventoux. Festivals are later during the harvest, like the Corso de la Lavande in Digne-les-Bains, early August. South of Darwin, it's one of Australia's longest-running Indigenous community events. The Burunga Cultural and Sports Festival starts June 7th, with sport, traditional dance and didgeridoo workshops. More than a dozen communities from across the Northern Territory come to compete at spear throwing and fire lighting. Visitors can camp with the community, share traditional bush tucker and listen to dreaming stories. After a year's hiatus, Glastonbury Festival of Contemporary Performing Arts starts June 26th in the UK. Over 100,000 head to the fields of Somerset to see some sensational bands. This year, the Rolling Stones, Primal Scream, Kenny Rogers and Jake Bugg. Yeah, it's always a mix at Glastonbury. Bring your tent, everyone camps, and don't forget your wellies and waterproofs, just in case the English summer fails to appear. Let's just say it's happened before. The summer solstice seems like a good reason to party all night on June 21st. The sun barely sets in parts of Scandinavia. In Greenland, midsummer's marked with folk singing and kayaking displays. And in Sweden, they raise the maypole and compete in tugs of war, egg and spoon, and sack races. In the USA, the town of Gettysburg is marking 150 years since the Battle of 1863, which marked the turning point of the American Civil War. It was later that same year that President Abraham Lincoln addressed this Pennsylvanian town, famously referring to a government of the people, by the people, for the people. From June 28th this year, the town will host battle reenactments, and the new Seminary Ridge Museum opens on July 1st, exploring moral and civic debates of the Civil War era. And finally, if you're in Paris on June 29th, the Peking to Paris Motor Challenge ends in Place Vendôme. Perhaps not all the cars will have made it to the end of this epic transcontinental rally, but I hope I'll be one in car 38, rolling down the Champs-Élysées into the heart of the French capital. Thanks for checking in with my Insider Guide this month. Until next time, happy travelling.
Thanks, Michelle. Now to end this week, we're off to Saudi Arabia's second city, which recently celebrated its first major arts event under the umbrella title of Jeddah Art Week. Showing both established artists and young unknowns from the Arabian Peninsula, it demonstrated Jeddah's wish to become known as the cultural centre of the kingdom.
Finding your way around the sprawling city of Jeddah isn't always easy. Few of the roads have names, and people have come to depend on a rather unusual way of identifying where things are. It's the sculptures that act as landmarks, helping you navigate your way around a city that has more than doubled in size over the last decade. In fact, Jeddah has one of the world's most extensive public collections of sculptures. The city is also carving out a new artistic niche with a Contemporary Arts Week, a first for the city. And these pieces, destined for auction, are at the heart of the event.
We see Jeddah as being the ideal, cultural platform to showcasing contemporary art at the moment because of its long history. So culturally speaking, it's very diverse and cosmopolitan already.
One of Jeddah's most established galleries, Atha, is showing contemporary works during the Art Week. The mixed crowd includes visitors from abroad.
I'm just here for a few days. I came mainly for the Art Week, and what I have seen is beyond my expectations. I'm not sure what my expectations were because you don't know what to expect when somebody says Saudi contemporary art.
Jeddah is very different to the rest of Saudi Arabia. It has a very more relaxed environment in terms of it's slightly more open than other parts of Saudi Arabia. So you do have a diversity of art galleries, you have a much more open scene, and it's definitely a great place to visit. And of course, being located on the Red Sea makes it an added bonus.
But the salty water, often whipped by strong winds, has had a negative impact on the dozens of sculptures that line the Corniche. Salt water, high temperatures, and even graffiti have left the sculptures a little worse for wear. But now the spruced-up Corniche and restored sculptures are finding themselves at the centre of a new public-private partnership to promote art in the city. They'll form an outdoor sculpture park and the centrepiece of a new cultural district.
It's a shame having such artworks and pieces very unique and not taking care of it. So Abdulatif Jameel Community Initiative is helping with the Amana municipality to handle everything and just repolish it, redo it in the best way that they can. So international and local people, when they come and visit, they can just see how amazing these works are.
Despite the desire to transform the city, gaining access to Saudi Arabia, especially for independent travellers, remains difficult. Visas are issued for work, transit and religious visits. However, tourist visas are only given out for approved tour groups or through invitation by someone from within the country. With work underway on a new corniche that will eventually stretch for almost 10 kilometres, locals are hoping that the artistic rejuvenation will open the city to a wider audience and in time help to lure a new kind of cultural visitor to the area.
I'm sure this city will be flourish and will have more visitors and tourists, and this part will be a real tourist attraction for a lot of people coming, appreciating art or enjoying the scene of this corniche.
Sylvia Smith reporting from the Arabian Peninsula on the changing face of Saudi art. And that's it for this week. But next time, Rajan is in Ecuador. Here's a sneak preview of what looks like an amazing trip.
Well, you find me now in Alausi, a beautiful colonial town here in South Ecuador. I think for many people, though, this country is still a bit of a mystery, perhaps better known for a group of islands 600 kilometres off the coast, the Galapagos. But the country now has a newfound confidence and a belief that it can promote its historical splendour and its environmental landscapes too.
It looks like a goodie, so don't miss it. In the meantime, if you want more tips, ideas and inspiration, you can always check out our website. But until next time, from me, Fiona Foster, and the rest of the Fast Track team, wherever you're heading next, have a great trip. Bye-bye.